Tumbuh hilang berganti lagu lama takkan ajuo. Yang sampai yang kata lo elok tidak tahu murah sampai bahwa salah. Na 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 sampai bahwa salah. Daewang, 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 Daewang. Daewang, 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 Daewang. Daewang. my skin.
Well, far away, cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun.
We are warriors.
Yeah, that's what we've become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. For we are going out. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, cause here I come. And I'm marching on the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I'll make no apologies. This is me.
This is me.
And I know that I deserve your love. There's nothing I'm not worthy of.
Ooh, this is me. Da-da, 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 this is me. This is me.
I'm gonna drown them all.
This is me.
Oke, boleh. MC masuk ya. Boleh masuk, Mas Dede?
Bapak Ibu yang terhormat, partisipan ISF 2025, sekali lagi kami mengundang Bapak Ibu untuk menempati tempat duduk yang telah tersedia. Dan bagi Anda yang masih belum menemukan tempat duduk, dipersilahkan untuk bergeser ke arah sebelah kanan dari pintu masuk. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we invite everyone to please be seated. And you may fill in the seats on the right side of the entrance door once you enter the ballroom. Once again, please be seated as our agenda this morning is about to kick off. Thank you very much. His Excellency, the Coordinating Minister for Infrastructure and Regional Development of the Republic of Indonesia, the Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry of the Republic of Indonesia, and the Chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or Kadin Indonesia, have arrived at the plenary hall. We welcome all to you, Excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya.
Indonesia tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku. Di sanalah aku berdiri, jadi pandu hidupku. Indonesia kebangsaanku, bangsa dan tanah air. Marilah kita bersatu, Indonesia bersatu. Hiduplah tanahku, hiduplah negeriku, bangsaku, rakyatku semuanya. Bangunlah jiwanya, bangunlah badannya, untuk Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang kau cinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang kau cinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya.
Please be seated. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. May peace be upon us all. The Coordinating Minister for Infrastructure and Regional Development of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono. The Minister of Investment, the Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Rosan Perkasa Roslani. Chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Anindya Novian Bakri. Ministers of friendly countries, ambassadors of friendly countries, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Jakarta Convention Center for the opening ceremony of the Indonesia International Sustainability Forum 2025. May we give a big round of applause for this important event. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, ISF 2025 serves as a collaborative platform to catalyze investments and actions for decarbonization and sustainable development, to embolden Indonesia's vision to lead sustainability efforts and continue scaling its impact internationally. We present to you highlights of Indonesia International Sustainability Forum 2025 through this video.
The world is evolving, bringing new challenges alongside new opportunities. With a growing population, the demand for food, water, energy, and meaningful employment continues to rise. As pressures on our planet increase, so does the shared responsibility to respond with urgency and cooperation. For many years, fossil fuels have been the foundation of our development. Yet the consequences are clear: increasing emissions, urban pollution, deforestation, and impacts on communities. The climate crisis is no longer a distant concern. It is a present reality, demanding immediate attention. We recognise the need for change while also striving for growth that is inclusive, equitable and sustainable. Across the archipelago, Indonesia is undergoing transformation. With strong determination, the nation is embracing a new era of sustainable development. President Prabowo reaffirmed Indonesia's commitment to building a sustainable, inclusive and resilient future.
We are committed to meeting our 2015 Paris Agreement obligations. We aim to achieve net zero emission by 2060, and we are very confident we can achieve net zero emission much earlier. We aim to reforest more than 12 million hectares of degraded forest, to reduce forest degradation, to empower local communities with quality green jobs for the future. Indonesia is shifting decisively from fossil fuel-based development towards renewable-based development. From next year, most of our additional power generation capacity will come from renewables. Our goal is clear: to lift all of our citizens out of poverty and make Indonesia a hub for solutions to food, energy, and water security.
This commitment is reflected here at the Indonesia International Sustainability Forum, where ideas grow into solutions and challenges become opportunities. Together, communities, innovators and leaders are planting seeds of hope for a better tomorrow. Every seed we plant today is a promise for tomorrow, because the future is something we build together for the next generation.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for Indonesia's commitment to forward with its sustainability agenda. Indonesia International Sustainability Forum 2025 is proudly hosted by the Ministry of Investment and Downstream Industry, Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board (BKPM), in partnership with the Coordinating Ministry of Infrastructure and Regional Development and the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kadin Indonesia. And over the next 2 days, ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting program lined up featuring thought-provoking keynote speeches, dynamic panel discussions, and series of high-level dialogues that will address the urgent need for decarbonization, the transition towards clean energy, the role of innovation and technology, as well as strategies to build a more resilient and sustainable economy. And to kickstart with this event, ladies and gentlemen, let's first hear remarks from the chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kadin Indonesia. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Anindya Novian Bakri to the stage.
It is an honor to deliver opening remarks at today's Indonesia International Sustainability Forum 2025 alongside so many distinguished leaders and guests. Bapak Agus Yudhoyono, Coordinating Minister of Infrastructure and Regional Development. Bapak Rosan Roslani, Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry, also CEO of Danantara Indonesia. Bapak Dodi Hanggodo, Minister of Public Works, Republic of Indonesia. Bapak Muhammad Iftitah Sulaiman Suyanegara, Minister of Transmigration of Republic of Indonesia. I see here Bapak Tolutua Pasaribui, Vice Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry. And of course, Ibu Retno Marsudi, UN Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water and former Foreign Minister of Indonesia. Your Excellencies, Mr. and Madam Ambassadors from friendly nations to Indonesia, thank you very much for coming, indeed. Senior representatives of ministries, agencies of the Republic of Indonesia, senior representatives of provincial governments across the archipelago, distinguished speakers, moderators, and many have flown out to Jakarta for IISF welcome. And indeed, leading business leaders and members of Kadin Indonesia, Pusat and Daerah. I would like to begin by thanking and congratulating our organizers, the government of Indonesia and the ISF super team for convening this important and constructive platform. To IISF 2025 sponsors, our industry captains and green champions of Indonesia, I would like to say a huge thank you to all of you. To IISF 2025 committee, the special group that have done the heavy lifting, also thank you very much for all of you. Some people I need to quickly mention, Bapak Rahmat Kaimuddin, Bapak Nurul Ihwan, and from Kadin, Bapak Bobby, Bu Shinta, Pak Dasono, Ibu Elim, and the whole committee, thank you very much. In a year of momentous leadership across the global south, with Brazil hosting COP and South Africa hosting G20, ISF continues to be a leading platform globally, not only in Indonesia. ISF 2025 is a timely moment to reflect on Indonesia's journey in the sustainability transition and the opportunities we must seize to ensure growth that is not only strong, but also green, resilient, and inclusive. Indonesia's growth ambition is bold, and rightly so. As President Prabowo recently affirmed, Indonesia aims to become a top 5 global economy by 2045, a goal that will require sustained economic growth of at least 8% a year. Yet our current growth trajectory, around 5% annually, is a good start, but we need to do more. We must not only grow faster, we must grow more effective and competitive. And we must do this in a world where global volatility, technology disruption, and fiscal tightening are real headwinds. In this new landscape, business as usual does not work and will not work. We need a model growth that is competitive, resilient, and sustainable. And that model is private sector-led green growth along with the support of the government. This is not about choosing between economic and climate goals. It is about aligning the two, unlocking new industries, innovating financing structures, and creating jobs that we all need that will also power both prosperity and sustainability. Data from Bloomberg New Economic Finance that works in collaboration with Kadin reveals that a net zero Indonesia represents an investment opportunity of $3.8 trillion. It's a number that I'm sure Pak Rosan is happy to hear. To put it into perspective, that will make up about 4% of total cumulative GDP from now until 2025. Last year, we invested about $4 billion in energy transition, mainly in electrified transport and power grids. Indonesia still lacks its fellow emerging economies in energy transition investment. Both the public and private sector have a role to play in amplifying the country's sustainability efforts and collectively shorten the time needed to reach net zero goal that Pak Presiden Prabowo reaffirmed. Just 2 weeks ago, Indonesia marked its first appearance in the United Nations General Assembly in a decade. And it did so with a clear, forward-looking message. Our president reaffirmed Indonesia's commitment to the Paris Agreement and restated our target to reach net zero emissions by 2060. He also went further. He called for a just and inclusive global energy transition. Also, greater respect for developing countries' rights to grow. Stronger global investment in climate resilience, food security, and renewable energy access, especially for the global south. This is more than a climate commitment. It is a call to future-proof our economy, strengthen energy security, and unlock new investment and innovation pathways. That is what today is about, turning the ambition into action. How is Indonesia doing so far? Strikingly, we are one of the lowest emitting countries on a per capita basis. In 2022, the average Indonesian emitted about a third as much as our American counterpart. Each country's decarbonization journey is unique, but Indonesia's is particularly distinctive. For most markets, the power and the heat sector is the main source of emissions. However, in Indonesia, land use change, and forestry account for 30% of our emissions. To achieve net zero by 2050, if you want to do it sooner, Indonesia must halve its emissions by 2035. Many different technologies are needed to cut energy-related emissions. Two key levers are clean power and the electrification of end-user sectors, such as road transport, buildings, and industry. To mobilize those two levers, Indonesia's critical minerals will play a crucial role both domestically and globally. In supporting the transition to a net zero Indonesia, Kadin Indonesia has been driving 3 flagship initiatives. One, the Kadin Net Zero Hub, which has equipped over 80 firms with tools to commit to science-based targets. 2, the ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Markets and Carbon Knowledge Hub, which we have paved the way and advocated for cross-border carbon markets. And 3, the Kadin Regenerative Forest Business Hub, a platform to pioneer regenerative business models. These are not ideas on paper. These are platforms already shaping projects, pipelines, and partnerships. To double-click on forests momentarily, Indonesia forests are the leading source of forestry credits. Estimates suggest that Indonesia can actually generate enough high-quality forestry credits to become a net exporter, producing around 13 billion forestry credits from 2024 to 2050. But Indonesia cannot transition alone. That is why we established the Kadin Global Engagement Office, Kadin GEO. It brings together global, multilateral, and key bilateral platforms under one roof. So we can connect Indonesian enterprises with the world. Across 6 thematic pillars, from climate and energy to health, digital economy, and beyond, Kadin GEO is turbocharging Indonesian business groups to expand globally and position Indonesia at the heart of the global supply chains. There are 2 initiatives that I'm pleased to share we have achieved to date. The Indonesian Transition Factbook, which we will share to our esteemed coordinating ministers and ministers. We're doing this in a partnership between Kadin and Bloomberg New Energy Finance. And this publication provides a comprehensive, data-driven roadmap for Indonesia's net zero journey and energy transition pathways. And number 2, the World Economic Forum Jobs and Skills Accelerator, supported by McKinsey, Bappenas, Kemenaker, and this program seeks to foster green and digital skills, to bridge industry needs and policies, thus positioning Indonesia as a hub for regional transformation and just transition. These are proof points, and they show that Indonesia's private sector can be both competitive and climate aligned when we have the right enabling partnerships and indeed in support of the government. In just last few months, we have deepened this work through high-level engagements with various parties in Jakarta, in New York, through the fact book launch, and these events are signals that Indonesia is ready to lead, ready to set the pace, ready to act. So what now? We have shown a lot of data, encouraging data, on Indonesia's potential transition. In summary, to seize the $3.8 trillion decarbonization opportunity before us, Indonesia's private sector must lead in 4 critical areas. First, climate. Net zero is achievable not just through reductions, but through innovation, investment, and market creation. And second, capital. We must mobilize finance into renewable, critical minerals, waste to energy, and grid upgrades. Public-private partnership can de-risk these pathways. And 3, carbon markets. Indonesia has the potential to be a global leader in nature and tech-based credits. Kadin and ASEM are ready to ensure credit integrity and supply. And lastly, skills. The transition will create jobs, but only if we act now to prepare our workforce. That means upskilling, reskilling, and building talent pipelines for green industries. This is the roadmap. The opportunity is clear. What matters now is execution. Lastly, the Green Growth Agenda is no longer just about meeting climate goals. It is about securing Indonesia's economic future, ensuring that growth is strong, sustainable, and inclusive. With the right coalitions within the government, which very much supportive to the business and the global partners over here, we can unlock this future together. And Indonesia will not just participate in the global energy transition, we will lead it. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for your remarks, Mr. Anindya Novian Bakri. That stresses one more time that sustainability efforts will open a lot of job opportunities. And so let's safeguard this sustainability efforts through, one of them is through the ICF 2025 as the accelerator to that goal. And ladies and gentlemen, throughout today, we'll have very exciting panel discussions as well as keynote addresses that will be delivered on this stage. So please follow all of our agenda as we safeguard the sustainability effort of Indonesia. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to the stage the Coordinating Minister for Infrastructure and Regional Development of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono, for his remarks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace and blessings be upon us all. His Excellency Bapak Roslani, Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry, and also the CEO of Danantara. Distinguished ministers and all members of Merah Putih Cabinet. We have here Minister of Public Works, His Excellency Bapak Dodi Hanggodo, Minister of Transmigration, Bapak Iftitah Sulaiman Suryanegara, Vice Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry, Bapak Todotua Pasaribu, Vice Minister for Home Affairs, Ibu Ripka Muluk, Chairman of the Indonesia Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Bapak Anindya Bakri. Thank you for your inspiring speech. And the United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ibu Retno Marsudi. Ambassadors of friendly countries to the Republic of Indonesia, esteemed business leaders, and we also have so many regional leaders. I see some governors, mayors, bupati, and of course I would like to thank international partners, friends of Indonesia, Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati dan muliakan, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to speak at the Indonesia International Sustainability Forum, the ISF 2025, at a moment when the world is being reshaped, not only by the climate crisis, but by uncertain geopolitics, supply chain shifts, economic realignment, and the race for new energy systems. They affect food prices, jobs, energy access, water supply, and fiscal space. We cannot afford to see climate and economic development as two separate agendas. One cannot advance by sacrificing the other. We must achieve both. Ladies and gentlemen, for too long, the sustainability agenda has been defined by those who industrialize first. The models, the technologies, even the language of transition have largely been shaped by the global north. But the conditions of the global south are different. Our demographics, our growth needs, and our fiscal realities are all different. One lesson is clear. There is no one-size-fits-all formula, no silver bullet, and no single template that developing countries can simply copy. Indonesia and many other nations like us cannot and should not replicate strategies designed for countries whose development curves peaked a century ago. We must chart our own path to sustainability. And to do that, we need spaces like this forum, a stage where we can exchange ideas, experiments, not as recipients, but as co-creators of solutions, where we support each other in building development models that are just, realistic, and future-proof. That is the philosophy behind this ISF. Not just a conference, but a platform to shape our own narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are serious about sustainability, we must begin where every society begins, with food, water, and energy. These are the foundations of life, and without them, no nation can build a just or lasting future. Before we talk about green transition, digital transformation, smart mobility, or industrial decarbonization, we must first ensure that every household is nourished, every community has access to clean water, and every region is powered reliably. Indonesia carries this responsibility at an extraordinary scale, feeding more than 280 million people, one of the largest and the youngest populations on earth. That task demands productive land, modern irrigation, and resilient distribution systems that work in every season, not just on paper. We are expanding food estates in selected regions, revitalizing irrigation and improving land use planning so that farms remain farms and they can stay productive. These are not short-term harvest strategies. They are long-term guarantees of supply and a deliberate step away from dependence on imports. The next essential foundation is water. Much of Indonesia's water infrastructure already exists, But the promise of capacity must be turned into the reality of service. We are aligning the national water policy to accelerate investment in piping networks, reduce excessive groundwater extraction, and expand access to clean water in all regions. Our benchmark is clear. By 2045, all urban areas should have universal access to piped clean water. Meaning, we must be able to deliver reliable service for household, farms, and industry every single day. The third pillar is energy. We have laid out the ERPU PTL 2025-2034, a roadmap for a cleaner, more sustainable power system. Over the next decade, Indonesia will add 69.5 gigawatts of new capacity to the national grid, with 3/4 coming from renewable and storage. The path is clear. Now comes the test of discipline, lowering cost, accelerating deployment, and ensuring that execution meets ambition. Together, these three pillars, food, water, and energy, form the true foundation of sustainability. They are the starting point for any society that aspires not only to survive, but to thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, sustainability is not only about protecting the environment. It is also about how we grow, how we make our economy faster, more efficient, and cleaner at the same time. A sustainable economy is one that drives progress without depleting the very resources that sustain it. In this sense, sustainability is both a moral imperative and an economic strategy. One of the clearest examples of this strategy in action is transport electrification. By transitioning from fossil fuels to electric mobility, we reduce fuel imports, ease the subsidy burden, and modernize our transport system. As of August 2025, Indonesia has sold more than 120,000 battery electric vehicles, reached roughly a 10% market share. New manufacturing plants are now being commissioned, and many will be fully operational next year. But electrification must go beyond private cars. The real task lies in decarbonizing public transport, logistics, and freight, ensuring that every link in the chain that moves our people and goods becomes cleaner, more efficient, and more resilient. Beyond mobility, sustainability in growth also means creating more value from what we produce. This is the very essence of downstreaming. Pak Roshan is the expert in this field of area. And the transformation of our raw materials into high-value products. The success of our nickel downstreaming has already reshaped Indonesia's export profiles and created greater national value. Now, we aim to expand that success to copper, bauxite, palm derivatives, seaweed, and other high-potential commodities so that Indonesia exports more value, not just more volumes. Yet, as we expand our industrial capacity, we must also make it cleaner. That is why we are advancing industrial decarbonization. Through energy efficiency, digitalization, hydrogen readiness, and where viable, carbon capture. Our goal is straightforward: to decarbonize without deindustrializing and to remain competitive in a global economy that increasingly rewards low carbon production. Of course, none of this transformation is possible without two critical elements. Pak Anil has mentioned this already. Number one, human capital, and number two, investment. The green transition does not run on slogans. It runs on capability. We need engineers who can integrate power grids, data specialists who can anticipate demand and risk, technicians who can maintain new systems, planner who can design resilient cities, and green finance experts who can structure viable, bankable projects. To achieve this, Indonesia is aligning its human capital development with the needs for the future through education, certification, and hands-on apprenticeships that turn knowledge into know-how. The second enabler is investment. Because ambition needs resources and transformation requires scale. According to Bappenas, Indonesia will need around 650 billion US dollar in infrastructure investment to achieve its target of 8% economic growth. Of this total, about 190 billion US dollar must come from private capital, nearly 4 times more than in the previous period. The state budget alone cannot and should not carry this burden. We are therefore building a financing ecosystem that blends public and private instruments, mobilizing sovereign funds, engaging multilateral partners, and encouraging blended finance. But investment will only flow where trust exists. This is why our focus is on ensuring a predictable investment climate, regulatory certainty, and innovative financing models that de-risk early stages while protecting public interest in the long term. These principles explain why the Coordinating Ministry for Infrastructure and Regional Development is co-hosting this ISF. We strongly believe that collaboration is the true engine of sustainable growth, key to better connectivity and strong coastal protection against natural disasters. Therefore, our partnership with the Ministry of Investment, Danantara, and of course, Kadin is so vital, serving as the bridge between public policy and private execution, and as the driving force in mobilizing industry, investment, and innovation. Together, we share one mission: to make Indonesia not only attractive destination for investment, but a reliable partner for delivery. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with 3 important reminders. Number 1, the future must be secured with food, water, and clean energy that are reliable and affordable. Number 2, the future must be competitive with efficient mobility, deeper downstreaming, and industries that decarbonize even as they grow. And finally, the future must be investable with skilled people, credible project pipelines, and financing models that turn ambition into real assets on the ground. As partners and solution builders, let us work together. Let us build a future where prosperity and sustainability lift one another. Let us build a future where no one and no region is left behind. And let us build impactful progress for Indonesia, for humanity, and for our planet. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono, for the inspiring remarks. Also noting that sustainability and economic growth should go hand in hand. And let's not put aside as well ensuring that all houses or every household is nourished through food security, clean water supply, and energy security. And while through industrial decarbonization, Indonesia deems to remain competitive in the global economy. And Let's do it through collaboration as the true engine of sustainable growth. Once again, thank you for the remarks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for the next remarks as the official opening as well to the ISF 2025, the Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry of the Republic of Indonesia. Let's join him. Please join me to welcome him on the stage, His Excellency Roslan Perkasa Roslani.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency Bapak Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono, Coordinating Minister for Infrastructure and Regional Development. His Excellency Bapak Dodi Hanggodo, Minister of Public Works. His Excellency Bapak Iftitah Sulaiman Suryanegara, Minister of Transmigration. Excellencies, ambassadors, and members of diplomatic corps, welcome to our forum today. And also His Excellency Vice Minister Bapak Todotua Pasaribu and Ibu Ripka, and also His Excellency Bapak Anin Novian Bakri, Chairman of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kadin, and also Her Excellency Ibu Retno Marsudi, UN Secretary General, Special Envoy on Water, distinguished international delegates, leaders of global institutions, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to welcome you to Indonesia International Sustainability Forum ISF 2025, which marked the third year of this forum. Well, actually, as you know, all of the good things already mentioned by Coordinating Minister about our plan and our target for the future. But mentioned it earlier, if we saw the video that Indonesia committed to have net zero emission by 2060. And if we are talking about potential of our renewable energy, actually is up to 3,700 gigawatts. But again, if we are looking at the installed capacity currently, it's only 15.1 gigawatts, which is less than 1%. You know, if we are again looking at the potential, mostly come from solar, hydro, tidal, wind, geothermal. But if we are looking again, you know, to go into 2060 commitment, then we need to do something. Especially our President Prabowo already mentioned it, that we need to be more ambitious to get our goals of net zero emission. Not on year 2060, if possible actually in year 2050. So, looking at this potential, we need to do something, and that's why our state-owned enterprise, PLN, our state-owned enterprise electricity company, come up with a plan for up to 2034 on the RUPTL, 76% of additional power generation capacity will come from renewable energy, including nuclear energy and storage. And that's a huge potential. So I think that's why we would like to share it with you, because we cannot do it alone. You know, we work with all the foreign party, with the local party in order to achieve this goal. And also in the same time, we have a huge abundance of carbon capture and storage. I would like to mention it also here, that Indonesia estimated we have 577 gigatons of CO2 storage potential, one of the largest in the world, represent a crucial part of this necessary global solution. Indonesia possesses a massive potential of 200 years of CO2 storage, which can accommodate not only our own emission, but also those from surrounding countries, firmly establishing us as the CCS hub of Asia. And also in the same time, you know, Indonesia controls a global reserve of production of strategic natural resources to be used towards a greener energy transition. For example, in nickel. Indonesia, we have reserve about 42 to 43% of the global reserve in the world. And mostly now we are using for EV battery and battery energy storage system development. So now in Indonesia, we have already the whole ecosystem of EV battery, from the mining, processing, refining battery component, battery pack, including into battery recycling. So Indonesia, we have the whole ecosystem already, but we're still pushing to have more ecosystem of EV battery, EV storage in Indonesia. And I think one more thing that I would like also to touch is about waste to energy. We are going to, actually it's a Danantara mandated by the government, we are going to launch waste to energy program. We are going to launch this program in 33 cities. The first 10 cities will be prioritized based on the assessment of Ministry of Environment. Those 10 cities that already ready to work with us, among others is Tangerang, Jakarta, Bandung, Yogyakarta, Semarang, Surabaya, Bali, Makassar, and etc. So I think this is very important for us. It shows also our commitment, because we know that it will have a very positive impact, not only in terms of electricity, but also in terms of environment and also health. So, and this program of waste to energy, again, we cannot do it alone. You know, we are very open to work with any party, a local party, a foreign party, to achieve this goal. And we are going to launch this program early November. So we are going to run an open and transparent bidding process. So hopefully 2 years from now, most of the waste in big cities, especially in the big city, can be transformed into electricity and also in the same time create more job for Indonesia. But again, we know we have all these good projects, but also at the same time, we still have a homework. Our homework is how we can strengthening our legal certainty investment procedure, by simplifying a lot of rules, policy, regulation, cut the red tape, and always try to improve our investment climate, our industry climate, because I think this is the homework that all these ministries has been working together to improve this investment climate. And I would like to mention it also, recently under the government regulation, now all the licenses and permits in Indonesia can be issued by our Ministry of Investment after working with all 18 different ministries. So you don't need to come to all different ministries, just come to us and we will issue the license and permits. Not only that, if we give you a certain date, a certain period of time, if you don't come back to us, automatically we will issue that permit and licenses. So again, it will give a certainty and clarity in terms of investment and also in terms of industry climate. In ISF 2025, represent also a critical moment for execution. First, we must enable. This means finalizing the technical and financial studies needed to get your project approved. We have put the incentive and regulatory models in place, and now it's time to turn our vision into reality. Next, we must establish and build new partnership, especially for cross-border cooperation. Let's work together to finalize the commitment that will secure our shared sustainable future. So on the behalf of Ministry of Investment and Downstream Industry, BKPM, Coordinating Ministry of Infrastructure and Regional Development, and also Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, KAN Indonesia, with the recitation of Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I hereby declare the 2025 Indonesia International Sustainability Forum officially open. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the remarks, Mr. Rossan Roslani, as to also open officially the ISF Forum 2025. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move into the keynote speeches. Allow me to introduce to the stage the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water, Her Excellency Retno LP Marsudi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, selamat pagi. Yang saya hormati Bapak Menko, Bapak Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono, Pak Menteri Rossan Roslani, Bapak Menteri Dodi Hanggodo, Bapak Menteri Muhammad Iftitah Sulaiman, Bapak Wamen Todotua Pasaribu, Ibu Wamen Ripka Haluk, Pak Anin tentunya, Ketua Kadin, Ibu Bapak, Ambassadors, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. It's really an honor for me to be here today, this morning with you all, and thank you very much for having me. Thank you for Indonesia, for the government, for Kadin, the private sector, the stakeholders, for bringing water issue at the center of any policy and at the center of this sustainability forum. Water is our life. Water is our life is not only a slogan, it is a fact. Today, billions of people still live without safe water, reliable sanitation, or sustainable irrigation. Water continues to be one of the most mismanaged and underfunded sectors in our global development agenda. Colleagues, we are at the critical inflection point. Population growth, climate change, urbanization, geopolitical tension, pollution are converging into a perfect storm, placing unprecedented pressure on freshwater system. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I've been in my role as UN Secretary General Special Envoy on Water for almost 1 year, to be more exact, 11 months. And I work together with the UN member states, including Indonesia, and all stakeholders on how to mainstream water in all agenda, including its nexus with health, food, energy, and also human rights. I must mention that there is a progress in water issue. There is more attention to water issue. There is progress to put water in high political agenda. There is a growing commitment to align various initiatives and accelerate all the commitments that have been mentioned. And this is a good progress. However, and at the same time, those progress are far from sufficient to address many challenges faced by water. And the list is quite long. For sure, we cannot address these challenges alone. We need cooperation among the governments, with private sectors, and with all stakeholders. And today, allow me to pick up just 3 water challenges. Number 1 is on infrastructure. Colleagues, water infrastructure, from pipes to pumps, dams to distribution network, form the backbone of water access. Yet in many parts of the world, that infrastructure is inadequate, aging, or even altogether absent. We lose an estimated 30% of treated water to leakage globally. In some cities, that figure even reaches 50%. When I mention about infrastructure here, it is not just physical asset. Infrastructure must be climate resilient, inclusive, and integrated with natural system. Wetland, aquifer, and watershed are infrastructure too that we have to take care of. Upgrading infrastructure is not an optional, it is urgent. It needs financing, innovation, and collaboration, including with the private sector. And I do hope that these issues will be thoroughly discussed during this forum. Second, on technology, we find that in much of water sector, we still rely on outdated system and fragmented data. We need to scale up smart water management tools, from sensors that detect leaks and monitor quality to satellite-based forecasting that helps farmers and utilities plan for drought. Technologies for water reuse, desalination, and precision irrigation are rapidly improving in cost and efficiency. However, colleagues, they remain largely inaccessible to many communities that needs them most. That is where cooperation and partnership, including with private sector, are critical. At the same time, we must ensure that technological solutions are people-centered. And I must repeat that technological solution must people-centered. Third, investment. Preparation for the UN Water Conference 2026, colleague, is now going on. It is co-hosted by the UAE and Senegal, and it will be held in the UAE December 2026. Investment for water is a very critical issue, and therefore the UN Water Conference will dedicate one thematic theme on investment. The global water sector faces a staggering investment gap. Water supply and sanitation need investment $600 until 1,000, I repeat, 600 to 1,000 billion per year. That is the investment that needed for water supply and sanitation, while current spending is only $300 to 400 billion. That leaves an annual gap of $300 until 600 billion. The World Bank said that developing nation spends only 0.5% of their GDP on water infrastructure. And globally, nearly 91% of annual spending on water comes from public sector. Water is often seen as a low-return, high-risk sector. But it is not true, excellencies and colleagues, because investing in water pays dividends, not only in economic growth, but in health, education, gender equality, and climate resilience. In Africa, recent World Bank report highlighted for every dollar spent in water will generate a return of $7. So investment on water should continuously strengthen, among others through blended finance, while safeguarding, once again, public interest. So always never forget to safeguard public interest. So, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, excellency, those are some among the long list of challenges that our water face. In short, these challenges are stark, but they can be overcome. We have the knowledge, the tool, the capital to solve these challenges. What we need is political determination, policy coherence, and collective action. Let us remember that water is not only a sector, but it is also a connector. It links climate change, health, food security, energy, migration, and others. To fix water is to advance broader goals for a just, sustainable, and prosperous world. So let us act with urgency, not out of fear, but out of hope. Because every child who drinks safe water, every farmer who irrigates a field, every community that survives a drought is a reminder of what possible when we invest in our common future. I thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Once again, thank you very much, Ibu Retno Marsudi, for the inspiring keynote speech. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next thought-provoking speech will be delivered by the Minister of Public Works and the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Dodi Hanggodo.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. May peace, mercy and blessing be upon us all. His Excellencies, Bapak Dr. Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono, Coordinating Ministry of Infrastructure and Regional Development. His Excellency Bapak Rosan Perkasa Ruslani, Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry of Republic of Indonesia, and also CEO of Danantara. His Excellencies of Pak Iftita Sulaiman Suryanegara, the Minister of Transmigration, Honorable Vice Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry, Bapak Todung Tua Pasaribu, Her Excellency Bu Ripka Haluk, the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Her Excellency Bu Retno Marsudi, United Nations Special Envoy on Water, Excellencies, Ministers and distinguished heads of government agencies, Honorable ambassadors and representatives of international organizations, respected leaders from Indonesia and global of Indonesia businesses, academia and civil society. I forgot to greet my great friends, His Excellency Pak Anindya Bakri, Chairman of Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This morning, I stand before you with the heart full of gratitude to the Almighty who has blessed us with health, with strength, and with the gift of the gathering here in unity. Gratitude for the journey of our nation through trials and triumphs, through challenges and changes where guidance has never been absent and resilience has always been present. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants of the Indonesia International Sustainability Forum 2025, the forum is a reminder that every bridge we build, every dam that we construct, every community we empower, is not only about today's progress, but it's about the legacy where we live for our next generation. We are here to affirm a shared mission to build a systems that safeguard people, to protect the planet and create lasting prosperity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, infrastructure tells a story of a nation. It is more than just a steel and stone. It is a resilience and vision. If it is poorly planned, it divides. If wisely governed, it unites. It can lock us into a crisis, or even lift us into progress. The choice is definitely ours. The responsibility is also ours. Infrastructure is not just an engine of growth. It is also the guardians of climate balance, ecological system, and social equity. That is why governance matters, because sustainability is not a choice, it is a necessity. Our work is guided by Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, and the new Urban Agenda. These are not distant words or on paper, they are living commitments. At the Ministry of Public Works, we turn them into standard, into safeguard, into trust, because global promises must meet local live. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia cities generate about 45.5% of the national GDP, but rapid growth brings pressure. Coastal rates rising, settlements sprawling, mobility slowing. We cannot build just more roads. We must build more futures. Cities must not only grow, but shall be glow with dignity, equity, and opportunity. Our response is clear: one map, one data, one plan, so that every investment builds resilience, not just a monument, because the climate crisis is not an abstract. Its impacts are happening in Indonesia right now. For example, our city Semarang faces rising seas. Our East Nusa Tenggara suffers drought. Bali enters floods. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our President Bapak Prabowo Subianto vision is bold. By the year of 2045, Indonesia must be sovereign, just, and prosperous. Through the vision of Ministry of Public Works of 608, or we call it PU 608, we pledge efficient investment, the elimination of poverty, and 8% annual growth by 2029. PU 608 consists of 3 numbers and only one mission: prosperity with justice. We designed 50 priority cities and towns, metropolitan to emerging, balancing growth between Java and regions beyond. One nation, many centers, one vision, many voices. Through the presidential instruction, we move fast. Every project is a front line of national resilience. Every instruction is a mandate for dignity. The instruction including irrigation for food, rehabilitation for schools, regional roads for connectivity, zones for food, energy and water security. By the end of 2024, Ministry of Public Works already renewed and rebuilt about 3,000 schools, some hundred madrasa and hundreds of universities. We do believe that a classroom is more than just a building. It is a doorway out of poverty. It is not a construction, it is a liberation. To broaden the connectivity for food and energy security, we also built roads and bridges. Those can carry more than just vehicles. They carry trust and survival. Here, we also built some laboratories of resilience for food, energy, and water zones in South Sumatra, South Kalimantan, Central Kalimantan, and also South Papua, with integrated planning, united budget, and measured result. Meanwhile, our programs anchor resilience in local hands. We have some community-based infrastructure. The community-based infrastructure based on for the irrigation water utilization, for drinking water supply, for sanitation, and also for the waste management program. By 2026, since resilience is strongest when it is rooted in the community, we plan to build 12,000 irrigation sites, 600 socio-economic projects, 700 drinking projects, 80 waste management facility, etc., and etc. Excellencies, distinguished partners and guests, we embrace also public-private partnerships, 3P, to achieve green returns, real returns, share returns for sustainable economy. Because we do believe that public finance alone cannot carry the load. Projects that have been funded by these 3P are some construction of several dams, several toll roads, and one pilot waste facility, the one in Lampung, West Java, and also in Balikpapan. For sustainable development and making us stronger together, we should assure that no government can stand alone, no businesses can thrive alone, no community can endure alone, but together we can. Together is a must. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, sustainable infrastructure is not just a concrete, it is conviction. It is not just a project, it is a protection. It is not just about growth, but it is about dignity. Through our vision, the Ministry of Public Works vision of PU 608, and following our President Asa Cinta 2045, Indonesia committed to building a future that is greener, fairer, and stronger. Let us all build, not for some, but for all. Not for today, but definitely for tomorrow. Not for one nation alone, but for our shared community. May this gathering remind us that we are all only a custodian of God's creation, entrusted to leave behind a world that is more just, more peaceful, and more sustainable for the generation to come. I thank you. May peace, blessing, and be upon all of us. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the most inspiring keynote speech as well from Mr. Dodi Hanggodo. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, would like to express our gratitude to the Coordinating Minister of Infrastructure and Regional Development of Indonesia, the Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry of the Republic of Indonesia, the Chairman of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry Kadin, Indonesian Ministers of Cabinet Merah Putih, and also Ibu Retno Marsudi to have participated in the opening ceremony of Indonesia Sustainability Forum 2025. And Excellencies are now proceeding to Merak 1 room for the press conference with the media. Once again, I would like to thank you for your presence and your unwavering support to ISF 2025, Excellencies. And ladies and gentlemen, participants of ISF 2025, we will continue with the next agenda today, which are the panel discussions, where we promise the discussions will spark discussions as well and collaboration among all of us to safeguard Indonesia's sustainability. So we invite everyone to please stay put at the plenary hall for the next agenda. Thank you very much.